studios. This is After 9 with Scott and Kat.
Hey now.
Hello, y'all.
What's happening, Kat?
Feeling good. I got some new headphones here. It's always a big day in this broadcasting industry when you get new headphones. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. And that's about it.
New set of cans for Kat.
That's right.
New cans. It's great. That's what we call them in the biz, so to speak, is cans. A lot to do today. But before we get to that, quick update. Did you get in and out of Costco for one thing yesterday, like you said?
Hang on. I've got my purse in front of me with my receipt. And let me see. I wanted to get one thing, but I was okay with getting two. And I ended up getting 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16 items.
Really?
Because I fucking suck.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
But I managed to stay under $200. So I'm actually pretty impressed with that.
You got 16 items for under $200.
I did, yeah. Because some of the items I got were like $6.79, $4.99, $5.99, stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Let's get to it here. Oh, by the way, before we do, one more thing before we get into it. Somebody texted in today, and they wanted an update on your chia-pet.
Oh, Jesus.
We haven't talked about that in about a year, and it still hasn't grown any more than the last time we told you.
You know what I realized, too, as we were talking about it, is we got this question, and it was not Christmas 2023. Was it not Christmas 2024 that I won, or 2022 that I won that?
It was
like over a year ago.
2 Christmases
It
ago.
was 2 Christmases ago. I won this chia-pet in the office, and I was like, "What? I don't want this." Actually, technically, I won something else, but it was like a pity prize, so they gave me this chia-pet as like a constellation.
It was a Weird Al Yankovic chia-pet.
It was. You and a couple other people told me how great this thing was, but I didn't care for it. But Dave was like, "Well, it's great," and I was like, "Sure." I'll put it in your office then if you think it's so great. And then I spread the chia seeds on it. I followed the instructions to a T, but it still got weird and clumpy. And then I think it started to grow mold. And then Weird Al was like balding in certain areas. And then some of the clumps that were coming through, like I said, had some form of mold on it. So I just said, I don't want to like make this airborne through the office. So I cleaned the whole thing out. And then I promised Dave, I hope I didn't promise. I told Dave I would try to find, if they have them, chia-pet seeds that you could just buy. Can you just do that with any chia seed? Like, I don't even know how this works, but I haven't done it yet. And it's been like a year since I told him I was going to do that.
You need weeds. Weeds would probably be just fine. It's the greenery you're looking for. The greenery that comes in a chia pet is not fun. It's good for kids. This is a children's project to get them interested in horticultural activities.
Right.
Generally speaking, weeds will grow anywhere. Case in point, when you come to where our studio is, you actually have to walk across a small bridge to get to the building because there's like a supplier lane or where the trucks go in underneath the bridge to load up all the various stores in the plaza where our studio is. And even though it's a bridge made of concrete, not grass anywhere to be seen, there's weeds growing out of the cracks in the bridge.
Because weeds are the worst. Yeah, you're right.
How can it grow with no dirt? What the fuck's going on here?
I don't know. Someone... You want to get to the bottom of this, right?
I do.
Somebody dropped some seeds somewhere. Something
happened. The deep
happened.
state is what's doing this. It's making weeds that grow in concrete. Is what it is.
Joe Biden's buried under the bridge.
Biden's going to speak tonight.
He is. He's going to speak tonight. That's great. I think a lot of people will be watching that. I hope it goes okay for him. And by that, I mean, I hope he's just able to get out there gracefully enough, say what has to be said. I hope nobody pokes too much fun at it. Look, the guy's stepping down. There shouldn't be too much poking fun. You know, let him say his spiel and know that this is the last few months. Or maybe he'll make an announcement and surprise people by saying he's going to drop it earlier than that. I don't think so.
I don't think he's going to step down.
He's just going to do the rest of his run, which is until the fall, and be done with it.
Well, here's the thing. I've been thinking a lot about this, and I'm actually happy right now. As chaotic and discombobulated and even anti-democratic as what's going on down there is, this is the first time in about 4 years that U.S. news has been fun to watch because it's something happening every minute. Mm-hmm. You get Kamala going to a rally and the media's all over it and Hollywood's all over it. They finally got their Hollywood candidate, their preferred choice. They got Kamala, even though Joe won the primary. And so they'll go and do that. And then they'll cut to a clip of Trump playing golf with somebody, and they'll ask him, hey, what do you think of Kamala? And he'll say, she's a bitch, or something like that. I mean, it's crazy that it's all happening on TV, and I'm here for it. It's great. But here's the thing about Joe Biden. there's still some people that want him to step down. They make the argument that if he is not capable of serving as president after January 20th, inauguration date, then he probably shouldn't be serving as president right now. I don't necessarily agree or disagree with either one of those positions, and I really don't care. But at the end of the day, you've got a lame duck president, meaning he's not going to be the president in a few months. So Congress doesn't even have to work with the guy. They know he's on his way out. They can just start preparing for the incoming president, whoever that may be. Now, typically, they hold the election in November, and then Inauguration Day is January 20th. For those who have never gone, by the way, I highly recommend it. I've been to 3 inaugurations.
Are you thinking about doing it this time around?
Depending on who wins, yeah.
So wait a minute. Kamala wins, you're going or not?
Not a fucking chance.
Okay,
not a chance will I do that. But having said that, I might go for the Trump one, only because I was there for his 2016 inauguration, and that was surreal. Having been to both of Obama's inaugurations, they were fairly laid back and it's classy and they have classical music and a ton of Hollywood celebrities there and shit. It was good.
And that'll be Kamala's, by the way, for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
Beyonce's already sucking on her, you know what, to try and get in on this. I mean, the whole thing is
She wants to be invited to the party again, and she will.
Of course. She wants access to the White House is what she wants. And fine. I mean, Kamala will certainly give that to her and Jay-Z and all of the Hollywood elites if she wins. However, the inauguration for Trump was very different. People were there protesting before the guy had even been sworn in as president. And there were signs up like the impeachment begins now. And the guards, the security people pushing me and other members of the media out of the way because so many protesters were coming down the street with like torches and pitchforks and shit. It was crazy. But it is free to go. It happens on the lawn of the National Mall. If you are interested in going to the inauguration, I highly recommend it. Just give yourself lots of time because there will be millions of people in Washington for it. Now back to it. Joe Biden, as they call him.
Joe Biden?
Joe Biden, it's one word. He is going to be giving up the presidency when the new president is sworn in. Typically, that happens January 20th. I think given that, they've got a lame duck president. And there's so much conflict around the world right now. I mean, between Israel and Hamas and over there in Russia and Ukraine, and the list goes on. I mean, there's talk that something could be going on with Taiwan right now, North Korea. We all know what's happening. You can't have a weak, lame duck president in office from now until January. So I really think they should move up the inauguration. And after the vote's held at the beginning of November, I think they should swear in either Kamala or Donald before the end of November. You've got a former president of the United States and a current vice president of the United States.
It's not as big of a hoopla as it would be if there was a candidate that came out of nowhere.
Right.
Is what you're saying. Yeah.
There's no transition that needs to be done. I mean, if
Yeah.
it's Kamala, it's going to be the exact same staff. It's going to be most of the same everything. There's no transition needed. If it's Trump, he's going to fire everybody there and bring in his people. Well, that's what happens
That's
when
what
a new
you do.
president comes in.
Yeah, in all fairness, it sounds harsh, but that's exactly what you're supposed to do.
That's right. But
I think.
I imagine 3 weeks is more than sufficient to get that done. So just for what it's worth, I don't think Biden necessarily, unless he truly cannot do the job. I think Biden should stay in office until Election Day, oversee the transition of power, and then get out by the end of August and let the new president, whoever it is, take over early and just get things going. It would also be nicer to go to the inauguration in November than in fucking January where it's pretty cold in Washington.
Fuck. Yeah, exactly.
So that's my take on it.
You never know what could happen.
I hope that this speech goes well tonight. I know that there's going to be, when they add up the ratings and the streams and shit, it's going to be one of the most watched television events of the year because people are so interested in whatever Biden's going to say tonight. Happening now, we're waiting on the Bank of Canada to announce their latest interest rate decision.
Yeah, that should be
here it
coming
is.
down any moment. Okay.
Bank of Canada, oh, you fucking losers. Bank of Canada reduces policy rate by 25 basis points, 4.5%. It's another quarter point cut.
It's a quarter point. Okay. So in total, half over, well, how many months ago was that? 3 months ago? No, not even 2 months ago, they dropped it. A quarter, same thing.
Beginning of June.
Yeah.
They dropped it. And now they've done it again. So we're down a half point. I don't know what these people don't understand. So right now, the Bank of Canada, what they're doing here, that son of a bitch, Tiff Macklem, who's even more of a son of a bitch now because he only dropped it a quarter point. He is The same guy who said interest rates will stay low, everybody borrowed money, and then he jacked the rates up at a rate that it's never happened before. And he hasn't even apologized to people for that. Now he's got the middle class completely on the ropes. They're going broke. They're going to lose their homes. It's just horrible. And he could be bringing down these rates a hell of a lot faster than he's going to. Just the other day, we had a survey that said Canadians cannot wait for relief. They need relief now. And this fucking jobber only does it a quarter point? People needed more than that. More, Tiff. You've got to go You've got to go fucking hard. You got to cut these rates by like a point at a time.
He's definitely not listening to this podcast, I'll say that much. When's the next rate cut?
Not till September.
Potential.
So there's nothing coming in August, nothing coming till the end of September. How many thousands of mortgages are going to renew and people are going to be underwater in that time where he could have helped them out?
But that's why there's so many homes on the market. You notice, and some, I don't know, when I do my scour, because I do check those things out now and again, I notice a lot of those homes, they're always well above the $1 million mark. They're like at 1.2, 1.5, potentially because you have people going, I can't fucking afford that once mine comes up.
But this is why Tiff Macklem is such a fucking moron. Like, I swear to God, the guy doesn't understand the economy. How is he... Well, I know why he's in charge of the Bank of Canada, but the whole central bank system is messed up. The fact that he could go and do what he did and slam those rates as high as he did, as quickly as he did, and then take his time lowering them. All the while, by the way, banks are getting billionaire wealthy every single month. They're making so much more money than they ever even contemplated because of what Tiff did here. And it's nothing more than a transfer of wealth. And it's a cliche almost at this point because Pierre Poilievre says it a lot. It's a transfer of wealth from the have-nots to the have-yachts. They're taking money that belongs in people's pockets and putting it in the bankers' pockets, and it's wrong. Is it to try and get inflation under control? I thought inflation was under control. I thought you guys said it was fine, 2.7%. I saw Chrystia Freeland out there taking a victory lap just last week that inflation was under control. So why are we only dropping it a quarter point? Tiff, you asshole, you've got to lower this a lot. Full point, 3/4 points, half point should be your minimum. Another quarter point is not going to do anything. It's going to continue making obscene money for the banks, and people are going to suffer, and that's just wrong. I'm seeing this on the fly, everybody, so I know I'm a little emotional about it, but if you've listened to this pod for the last 3 years, every time there's an interest rate announcement, we talk about the same thing, and it's like this bank, which is appointed by this government, does not want to accept the fact, or maybe they want it this way, that the middle class is just going fucking extinct. 2 class action lawsuits have been filed against the companies behind the recall for the contaminated nut milk.
Okay.
With the listeria.
Are these particular families, have they said that they're linked to the deaths that are involved in it?
Yeah. So what I'm trying to figure out is who's suing who for what. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency issued the recall back on July the 8th, 18 beverages under the Silk and Great Value brands. It was almond milk, oat milk, soy milk, all that sort of shit. The recalled milk has expiry dates up to October the 4th. 2 people have died because of this outbreak, resulting in the lawsuits. Countless more got sick. I think there was 19 hospitalized and 2 dead because they drank this so-called nut milk. And I'm surprised there's only 2 class action lawsuits.
There might be more coming. Who knows?
There might be. Silk brand is probably looking at these lawsuits going, we're screwed.
And they might be, because there's a lot of saturation in that market too for the nut milks and the alternatives, right? So if they have to cut back because of it, it could be the death of them. It really could. I'm not saying it's going to be, but it's not a good look.
No, it's
I think
not.
we all know this.
No, it's not. I will try and find out more about that class action. Turns out I had one of those cartons of nut milk in the house. It was the Silk brand. It was the almond milk, and it had the expiry date just before October the 4th. Luckily, we hadn't opened it. I don't drink it anyway. Girlfriend does. But yeah, we threw it out. I guess that would make me eligible for this lawsuit. If I drank that or she had drank that, one of us could have gotten very, very sick.
Yeah.
And you can't have that. We have to have safe food and products that we put in our bodies. Police are warning Taylor Swift fans about a concert offer scam. I just don't know what people don't understand about this. It's not really safe to buy tickets on Facebook, everybody. I know you'd love to get tickets for your kid for Taylor Swift, but fuck, you got to be careful.
I'm going to say it's not really safe to try to buy a lot of things on Facebook right now. I know someone who got screwed over trying to buy something on Marketplace. I mean, these things happen.
it's amazing that there's not a better system in place, Like, why Facebook didn't go all the way until Facebook launched Marketplace, and there was Kijiji, which is similar to Marketplace. The OG was eBay, and eBay had it down pat because they launched their auction site, and then they launched a portal to transfer money, PayPal. I don't understand why Facebook doesn't accept money through their platform so that if you make a purchase through Facebook Marketplace, the seller wants their money. Okay, I'm going to send you the money and I'll get the product. If I don't get the product, the money doesn't go through. It wouldn't be that hard for Facebook to control this. And both people have to agree. You got the product?
Yeah.
Yes. You got the service? Yes. Okay, we put the money through. It just sort of gets held in escrow until the transaction is complete and both people have signed off. But Facebook, I don't think they really care. They don't care about us.
That's exactly it. I don't think they give a shit as long as you're checking out the marketplace and stuff. But don't do it, guys. I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter what you're buying. If you think you're buying something, I saw someone the other day. I think it was a lawnmower or something, and they posted this on their Facebook. Like, I can't believe I got screwed over by this. This is crazy. And the person was like, "I'll hold it for you, sure, but you got to give a deposit." And of course, the lawnmower was like whatever it was, a few hundred. So they're like, "You got to give a deposit of $150. Just e-transfer it to me right now. It's on hold for you." Right? This is what you do. And maybe time and time again, you've done this, and it's been fine. But the scammers, that's what they're hoping for. And their profiles are so unique. They'll shut down right after you give them the money too. They're opening these profiles. Sometimes they're long-term profiles. So it looks like they joined like a year or two ago. So it looks kind of legit. It's not like they just joined. And don't give your money up front. Don't give your money up front.
No.
If you're serious about it, do your best to get there as soon as possible, for sure. But as a seller, if you're selling something, don't put someone in that position either. Don't do it. Like, if they're asking for it in 3 weeks, they can pick it up. Yeah, you have to fucking give me money for that. I'm not going to hold it for you for 3 weeks. That's goddamn ridiculous unless you give me money. Otherwise, don't put people in that position. Say you can come and pick it up in the next couple days. Tell me when you're going to be here, and try not to accept deposits like that. I don't think it's a good idea. That's one of the ways that we can stop this, because then it's a big red flag when someone does ask for one.
Well, this one is particularly weird. They say when tickets went on sale, they sold out instantly. Tickets ranged from $400 up to $10,000. 10 grand. This Facebook scam has fraudsters offering floor seats for $500 a piece.
Already, that's a red flag.
It's a total red flag. The price alone is a red flag.
Yeah.
And then they've got, here's the seating chart. Here's exactly where your 2 seats will be. And because they just went online and copied a seating chart from Rogers Center and colored 2 of the seats blue and said, that's where you're sitting, does not make the tickets legit. But people fell for it. A lot of people fell for it. They transferred $1,000. They were waiting to get their tickets. Tickets never came. There never were any tickets. So the advice from the police is, because they can't tell what's real and what's a scam just by you telling them the story. So the general advice is, and this should always apply, if it seems too good to be true, it's too good to be true. Mm-hmm. Trust your gut. Mm-hmm. If somebody's selling floor seats for Taylor Swift for $1,000, maybe that's legit. Maybe. But chances are it's a scam, and you got to be real careful. I certainly wouldn't give any money up front before you get those tickets in hand and verify that they're real.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We have, what do I want to do here? Oh, did you see this guy who got the interview with Justin Trudeau in Tofino?
In a non-legit way?
Well, it's kind of legit.
But also legit?
The Prime Minister is on vacation right now, for all those who have not heard. He is in BC.
He does it every year, right? Every summer?
It seems to be he goes Jamaica or Caribbean in the winter and Tofino in the summer. He likes to surf and the beach and shit like that. And Tofino's beautiful, by the way. So there's this reporter. I forget the name of the company he's with, but you're welcome to look it up. His name is Keen Bexty? I don't know. I've actually followed this guy for a while, and I didn't even realize it. But he decided, it's the counter signal. That's it. That's his site. So he did what none of the other major media outlets in Canada could do, got a one-on-one with the Prime Minister. How did he do it? Well, simple open source information. The Prime Minister's plane took off from Ottawa, and they knew it landed in BC. Based on where it landed, it was pretty obvious he went back to Tofino, like he's done many times before. So this reporter here decided, I'm going to charter a seaplane, and I'm going to land right off the coast of Tofino. I can't drive to Tofino or take the ferry over and knock on the front door. The security is going to tell me to get out of here. So this guy decided to do the other solution. He landed the plane in the ocean, just off the shores of Tofino, and he walked right up to the beach where the prime minister was with his security detail. And it was a little confrontational because obviously security doesn't know what the fuck's going on. Who's this guy that just landed walking towards our prime minister? The PM actually gave him a little bit of time, even though this PM has had this reporter thrown out of his scrums in the past because he wasn't, quote unquote, accredited parliamentary press gallery media.
Was Trudeau feeling pretty good at the time, maybe? I'm thinking he's on vacation. He's on a beach. He's probably like, yeah, you know what? I'm buzzed off a couple of White Claws. I'll answer some questions.
Well, I'm going to play about 40 seconds of the interview. This is just one of the clips that's out there. It's a different type of interview than you would expect to hear being given to and by the Prime Minister.
And as you know, I work more days a week than the vast majority of Canadians.
You've actually taken hundreds of vacation days last year.
Hold on.
I'll let you finish. Sorry.
You can do the math. Glenn McGregor did the math last year, pointed out how many days I work as Prime Minister, and it's equivalent of working every single day of the week and Saturday and not taking any day off, not any bank holidays, not 2 weeks of vacation, nothing. I work incredibly hard, and I get to be dad with my kids with nothing else going on for 10 minutes.
I'm a little conflicted on this because I'll say it. And if you listen to the pod, you probably know I'm not the biggest fan of Justin Trudeau by any means, but the guy's entitled to a vacation. And he does take a lot of personal days. If you look at his itinerary daily, I get it emailed to me every day. He takes a lot of personal days. But I also believe that he is working all the time. No matter what, he's working when he's on call. And he is on call as the Prime Minister of the country. If there's an earthquake on the West Coast, if there's an attack on Halifax, if the U.S. president gets shot, he gets woken up in the middle of the night for all that shit. He's got to deal with it. He's got to be on the ball for these sort of things. When he goes away on vacation, sure, he's playing dad to his kids and he's surfing in the ocean and shit, but he's still the Prime Minister. And if shit goes down or there's an emergency meeting of the G7 leaders, he's got to drop what he's doing and take the call. That's just the way it works. It goes with the gig. Now, he gets paid exceptionally well for the privilege, and he gets a lot of other privileges like the private jet and all the other things that comes with being Prime Minister. But the guy does work, despite the number of personal days on his calendar. I love that this interview happened because I would like somebody to be able to ask the Prime Minister some very pointed questions that he will not answer for anybody else. If he gets an interview request from the CBC, he'll take it because he doesn't really get a hard time from the CBC. He doesn't really get a hard time from CBC, CTV, Global, any of the big ones. When one of the reporters from The Counter Signal, Rebel News, or something like that gets a chance to interview him, they're going to ask him very, very, very different questions than the ones that you would see on the mainstream media
So
channels.
I think he did well, all things considered. I did not hear the whole thing, though, that said, but the fact that this guy probably should have been kicked away, you know what I mean? But he wasn't.
He wasn't.
You've got to give him credit for that.
You do give Trudeau credit for that because security was going to turf the guy, and Trudeau said, fine, fuck it, I'll talk to the guy for a few minutes.
I ask you though?
Sorry, sir.
I'll just ask you super quickly. Your minister said
Sir,
going on
sir,
vacation. No,
I'm done.
don't put your hands on me. Don't put your hands on me.
Then please.
More than any political leader on the face of the earth, Justin Trudeau carefully manages his media appearances, who's allowed access to him, who can get into press conferences, who he'll arrest if they get too close, who he'll sit down for an interview with.
You had your media advance call the RCMP because I was going to ask questions that you didn't want. I wasn't the CBC, I wasn't CTV, I wasn't Global News, so you had to get arrested, so we came out.
Following his catastrophic by-election loss in Toronto.
Okay, so this is obviously a promo for it, but I think that there's a balance here. No, nobody should be tracking down the Prime Minister on his vacation and questioning him with some of the questions that he did ask. But on the other hand, I think it would be kind of nice if the PM sat down and did interviews that weren't necessarily friendly interviews. Do you think Pierre Poilievre and Doug Ford get excited about doing a CBC interview? No, because they know they're going to get attacked. It's probably the same feeling for Trudeau if he finds out Rebel News wants to interview him. It doesn't mean that those journalists are less entitled to interview him because they ask pointed questions or a different line of questioning. So I would love to see just a little more balance there. And if the PM is interested, he should sit down for an interview with some of the more right-leaning media and answer some of those questions. But anyway, leave the guy alone. He's on vacation, and there's certainly a lot to talk about when he gets back. The Olympics are coming up on Friday, Kat.
I'm pretty excited about it.
Celine Dion is going to sing.
Yeah,
Sing.
Yeah, it's been a long time. I don't know if you guys have seen her documentary. It's on Prime. I do highly recommend it, although it's really, the last 10, 15 minutes, I think we talked about at the time, hard to watch. That said, it really kind of showcases everything that she's going through, and it's difficult. So the fact that she feels well enough right now to sing is great. And the fact that she's getting paid $2 million to do it, to sing one song, good on her. If she's feeling good enough, that's great. So I love that we got a little Canadian representation, albeit I know she lives mainly in the States, but she still very much thinks of herself as a native of Quebec. So that'll be fun. We don't know exactly what she's going to sing. We were trying to guess what that might be. The fact that it's on boats, this opening ceremony is going to be sweet, I think. For the very first time, it's outside of a stadium. They're doing it along the Seine River. There's going to be over 86 boats in this parade procession, if you will. So various countries and their athletes in each boat. And then she's going to be on one of them. So I thought of Titanic, but that's not going to happen. It's not. It's not going to happen. Even though my heart would love if she sang "My Heart Goes On," but it will go on. But she won't. But nonetheless, that'll be a spectacle for sure on Friday. It starts just after 2 p.m. Really, like I said, 1:30 is when coverage starts, but it's not going to be till well after 2 that they actually start things. So if you can get out of work early, do it.
It's interesting how they're doing it down the Seine River. It's they have a harder time controlling that. It's not the same variables as if they had done it in a stadium like all other opening ceremonies are done.
Yeah,
the
that's
fact
right.
that it's outdoor. They were initially going to have 600,000 people lining the river to watch this procession of athletes. That turned into a bit of a logistical nightmare, and Parisians are fucking angry right now because the whole city is locked down and people can't get anywhere. They've got QR codes that they got to scan, and are you allowed in this zone? Yes, because you work there, so you have the right code. But if you don't work there, you're not allowed to go there.
That's right.
Even if the cafe you want to go to is over there. It's a bit of a mess, and think how we would feel. Think how we're going to feel, because it's going to be that way when the World Cup comes to Toronto, and it's going to be the same thing. There's going to be certain areas of the city that you are not allowed to access unless you have the right QR code.
I don't feel that bad for people in those areas. You know what you're signing up for when you decide to live or work in a big city. It sucks. Those are the things you have to suck up. You chose to live or work in Paris, France. You get all the lovely perks of looking around and being like, I'm in fucking Paris. You got to put up with this shit. You got to put up with tourists. And same thing goes on a smaller scale to Toronto. It sucks and it's expensive. So, I mean, really, you kind of do it to yourself. Nobody's forcing you to.
Well, the Olympics are going to be great. They've cut it down to 300,000 people that are going to be lining the river. They actually made bleachers that line the river that I don't know
cool.
what do you do with them after that? Apparently each section holds like 3,000 fans, 3,000 seats.
Yeah.
And they've got dozens and dozens and dozens of these things lined up like every 200 meters along the river. That's the grandstand that people will sit in to watch the parade of athletes, but what do you do with them after that? Can you send them to the next country hosting the Olympics? What if they don't have a river?
Are they still playing the games, some of the games in the Seine? I know that they were considering water polo and all those things, but obviously it's really difficult to do that. These are athletes that train in pools. So I didn't think that would ever go through. Did we hear that any of it did?
Well, this is part of the problem. I mean, they are still events that they said they were going to do in the water. They are still planning to do in the water. The problem is the water tested positive for E. coli a lot.
So we shouldn't be doing that. They're probably not doing that. So yeah, in that case, I don't know what they're going to do with the extras. Probably ship them back to wherever they came from, or if there's a manufacturer, they're probably going to, hey, you guys need to rent a lot of benches. Who needs it?
They'll do like the rowing and stuff like that on the river. That's fine. The swimming on the river, it's an open swim.
I don't think it's going to happen.
The Parisians were threatening to shit in the river just to try and throw off the games happening in the river. And
I think there's too much going on there.
I think so too. By the way, kind of on the same lines, the mayor of Wasaga Beach has spoken out about a topic that came up the other day, the amount of people pooping on the beach at Wasaga. I don't know if I just ended up on a weird algorithm where all the videos of people shitting on the beach at Wasaga show up in my feed, or if there's that many videos out there. It's hard to tell with the algorithms the way they are. But I've seen a lot of videos from people claiming they've seen this. They know it's going on. It's happening. The mayor of Wasaga Beach is saying, fake news. It's not real. These people are liars. I don't know how that many people could coordinated come up with this lie that there's people shitting on the beach in Wasaga. Now, for the mayor's perspective, he says the bathrooms are well signed. They are accessible. They are right there on the beach. There's no reason to think people are pooping on the beach when there's perfectly good bathrooms right there. Both can be true. They could have nice bathrooms that are quite accessible and right there. But it doesn't mean there's people out there that wouldn't still poop on the beach if they think it's okay.
And apparently, by the way, this is not a lone situation because there's people who went to Sauble recently that said the same thing. I've heard similar about Grand Bend. We've also heard, had different people text us saying who these people are that are doing it and have their own thoughts and theories on it. I mean, I haven't seen it with my own eyes, so I couldn't tell you. But it needs to stop. I don't know if the people that are doing it are going to get the messages, but if you guys know of anyone that would shit on a beach, please tell them don't do that. We don't want that.
What do we have to do? Do we actually need to spend money to get signs made to say don't shit on the beach?
Sad, but we might.
In Ontario in 2024. We need to do that?
We might.
Where's security? I remember when I was a kid, we used to do those weekends when I was in high school. My friends, we'd all jump in a couple of cars. We'd head up to like Grand Bend. We'd go to Sauble. We'd go to Wasaga, that sort of thing. We were all heading up there, having ourselves a great time. And one thing that I remember is the second you crack open a beer or a cooler or something, that's when those fucking security guys start walking by. Mm-hmm. Are they not doing that anymore? I would think that would also solve the problem, a little added security. I don't know why this is just being allowed to happen and nobody seems to give a shit. Pardon the pun.
People are definitely giving shits.
Women's Health did a survey of women and their exes. And they do this thing called By the Numbers. And the whole point of it is they tell you the averages, and then you can tell if you're above average, below average, on par, that sort of thing.
Okay.
So let's go to talk about women and their exes. Hopefully we've got enough time to get this whole segment in. When the average woman first gets dumped, high school.
Okay, so that's a broad high school.
Yeah,
okay.
The first time you got dumped, most women say it was in high school. Why she thinks her first fling failed. Most women say too young, immature.
Sure.
I think that goes for most high school relationships.
Easy. Or if not elementary. Yes, it goes back that far.
Length of time the average single woman's relationship lasts. Between 6 months and a year. If you're a single person and you just happen to meet somebody and you think, I'm going to get into a relationship. If it doesn't go the distance, it'll be over within a year.
Really?
On average.
This is fascinating. Okay.
Number of men the average woman will have slept with in her lifetime, including her husband or partner. 6 is the average.
Okay.
I'm guessing people had a number in their head before I actually said it. I took a pause there just to see if people would come up with a number in their head. I wonder how many people would have said 6. And did you think that would be lower or did you think that would be higher? I'm kind of curious. Number of guys.
No, I should have guessed it. I should have tried to guess it before.
The number of guys the average woman has dumped in her lifetime. How many guys has the average woman dumped? 5 or more.
Yeah, okay. When you know, you know.
Women who initiated their most recent breakup, 1 out of 2, half. Percentage of women who prefer to hear bad news over the phone, who want to be dumped over the phone, 1 in 10.
Okay.
It's an awkward thing to break up with somebody. I really wish we could normalize doing this on the phone because I'm a giant coward. And I don't want to look you in the eye and say it's over or break your heart or see you cry or anything like that. It would just be easier for everybody, I think, if we could all get behind the do it over the phone or text.
I've done that. Okay, this was high school, guys. High school, but I did that over the phone. He wasn't even in the country.
Really?
Bad, eh?
You had a long distance relationship?
No.
Oh, he was on
just
vacation.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Great.
And I was like, yeah, this isn't working.
And do you ever wonder, where is he now?
I think he lives in that country now, to be honest with you.
He never even came back.
I'm not kidding you. I think he lives there. I'm not going to go into details because if you know, you know.
Percentage who think it's okay to break up with someone via a text message. Only 11% think it's okay.
Good. No, the only time it's okay is if you had one date. That's not a relationship. That's not a relationship.
There's a difference between dating and relationship.
Thank you. Okay, so we're talking about dating. Even that seems high to me. No, come on. You at least a phone call, and even then, there's going to be people, and I understand why, that will complain about that. At least a phone call.
I'd be okay with the text.
Are you serious?
I would. No, like I wouldn't do that to someone. I mean, everybody's different, and if you're dating me and you know me and how much I try and avoid confrontation and shit like that, you would probably know. He'd probably prefer if I just did this by text and you'd just text me that it's over.
Wouldn't you want wouldn't you have follow-up questions?
No.
Like she's just like, yeah, this is over. Like you want to be like, what happened? What can I do better? Like you don't even.
No, it would be more of an, I'm amazed it lasted this long. Thank you for putting up with me.
Thank you for your services.
Thank you for your services. I'm really, really sorry for anything that I'm not even aware of that I did wrong, that you know I did wrong.
But you don't care to know?
I don't need to know.
You don't, like, for yourself, though? Like, I would be, I've never been in that situation, but I feel like I would be like, but what happened? Like, if it's just like, you don't think we click, totally understandable. Did you meet somebody else? Like, I would just be, I would need to know.
Okay, but for me, and maybe it's just the getting older thing, I might want to know, if for no other reason but just general curiosity. And if it's, did you meet somebody else? I might ask, like, oh, yeah, what's he like? Cool. Does he have a good job? Like, are you going to be happy? Are you going to be okay? Do you have everything you need? Like, I'd still care about the person. If I was in a relationship with them, I probably cared about them at some point. However, I don't really need to know all that shit. If you break up with me, I get it. I'm a shit. I suck. and a lot to deal with. You got to put up with some serious bullshit. So I get it. Again, like, thank you for your services. If I enjoyed myself in this relationship, then I thank you for that time too. I don't blame you though.
You reply with a thumbs up, like, okay, no worries. Okie dokes. Gave me the old umperoo, huh? No worries here. I'll carry on.
The percentage of women who say at least once a guy has talked her out of dumping him, 40%. Almost half of women
never
have been talked out of dumping him by him.
Wow.
Where he's like, no, don't do it, or I can change, or
Oh,
things can get better, we can fix it, let's go to counseling. All the shit that guys throw out in desperation.
Oh, no.
Almost half of women have fallen for that.
Wow. You obviously had it set in your mind that you were going to do it and had your reasons, and they were probably good reasons. I think it's very rare, by the way, when a couple goes from, or even one of two people goes from, I'm pretty sure this is going to be over, to, wow, a few years later, glad we worked things out. Things are going swimmingly. It's so rare if that ever happens. You don't hear of it often. So to just be like, yeah, okay, yeah, you're right. It's kind of manipulative.
Uh-huh.
I feel like there's a lot of manipulation happening with that.
Women's preferred line to break up with someone, I think we're better off as friends. That's
Which
a good
never
way.
happens, though.
No, it doesn't.
You don't become friends. But why do you even say it then? I think we're better
I
off.
don't know. It's not guys that say that often. I think that comes from women way more than guys throw it out there.
Ladies
That
don't
why
do
can't
it.
we be friends?
Ladies don't do it because you don't really. Do you really want to be friends with them? Like, just sincerely, you don't. You're gonna move on and you're gonna find someone else. You don't want them breathing down your neck like, you said we were going to be friends. Well, friends can still go to the movie theater together. Like, no, you don't fucking want that. You don't want anything to do with them. Move it on. Just say, I think we're better off apart. Don't use words like friends. Don't use future references like maybe we can still. Don't do it. Don't put the hope in their mind.
Clean break.
Clean break.
Get out of there.
The fuck out. Change your number. Block it. Do what you got.
Even if you think you can still be friends, ask yourself what's going to happen if you end up in a new relationship, if your new partner is going to be okay with you being friends with that person. I mean, there's so many other factors that I don't know if you can commit right now to we should still be friends, because chances are you're not. It just doesn't happen that way very often.
I don't know a lot of people that are like friends with an ex and everything's all fun and wonderful between them and a new partner, for example. Regardless if we're talking about men, women, whatever. This is obviously a very heterosexual survey that was done, by the way, but I think that we could put this in play for anybody.
Absolutely. The average dumping time, when you add up all the different times that a woman might dump a guy, gentlemen, you are most likely to get dumped by her on a Monday in January.
Oh my God, that's why they call it Blue Monday.
A lot of breakups in January.
Yeah.
That's actually when most of the divorces get initiated too.
And that's all holiday related too. That's after you've already celebrated. You got your, whether you're going out for a Hanukkah celebration or a Christmas celebration, you're seeing more people. You got to go to the office party. You get through that. You got the warm fuzzies. Maybe you're like, eh. And then January hits and you're like, fuck this. And then you dump them.
Mm-hmm. One more. The number one reason that a woman dumps a guy. Now, I would have thought it was finances. That's the number one thing that breaks up couples is money. So I would have thought money played into it. No. The average woman says the number one reason for dumping him or kicking him to the curb is his attitude. Attitude is the most common reason that women might dump a man.
Yeah, sure.
Or a partner.
So attitude to me can mean sometimes it's egotistical.
Yep.
When they're egotistical, they're a little selfish,
Sure.
perhaps, right? That all comes in play when I think about attitude in a relationship, I think about that.
Absolutely.
Or treats you like shit. I guess that could also be it.
Also for attitude, you could classify laziness under there, lack of ambition under there. You could put misogynistic tendencies in there. You could put all kinds of different things in there and file it under attitude. One last note here, and I know I keep saying that. I'll do this one real quick. Men feel happy after one-night stands. Women do not. Does that make sense to you?
Okay.
On average. It's a report published in the Human Nature Journal by a leading academic who says typically women feel bad about one-night stands and will consider romping with a guy only once if they think there's a chance it'll lead to a long-term relationship. In other words, when a woman does agree to a one-night stand, she's probably thinking this is the way to get him. Guys are thinking one-night stand actually means one night stand.
Mm-hmm.
I got some percentages on this. 80% of men think a one-night stand can be a good thing. Only 54% of women feel the same way. Not as happy about the one-nighter.
I mean, and I wonder if this has changed through the years and been a little bit, swayed a little bit through the years. Because I know there's a lot of women out there that it's not the same thing anymore. You know, when you have a woman that's decided to, you know, it used to be like, they're promiscuous, whatever the case is. But there's a lot of women who are just fully independent and don't want a relationship. So if they see someone they want to have sex with, they don't feel guilt about it. I think it's more so that they don't feel guilty about it. But at the same time, women, we tend to get more emotions involved in things, and men do not. That's a very general statement. I totally understand that, and that varies per person. Totally get it. But generally speaking, there can be more emotion. So we feel bad about it, maybe in a way that is he too connected to this, or maybe we feel bad as in, should I have done that? I feel bad about myself. It's emotional more so than anything.
And on that, we'll say have a great hump day, everybody. We will be back tomorrow for the second last After 9 before the summer break.
Bye, friends.
Spirit Airlines just fired 2 gate agents in California for yelling at passengers to shut up. Who's yelling at a Spirit Airlines gate agent? I mean, when you choose to fly Spirit, you manifested that destiny.
Apparently, Delta has canceled thousands of flights because of that worldwide computer glitch over the weekend. Doesn't it feel like you can never get a handle on which airline is the bad airline? like right now, we think it's Delta. But then next week, some friend of mine will tell me, United lost my bag and my father-in-law.
There's a new device called the Swipe that's a combination smartphone and vape. Yep, a combination smartphone and vape. If you buy it with crypto, you can complete the D-bag trifecta.